The political landscape of the Philippines experienced a significant tremor this week. On Wednesday, May 22, 2025, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. made a stunning announcement. He called upon all 33 of his cabinet secretaries to submit their courtesy resignations. This was not a quiet request whispered behind closed doors. It was a public declaration, sending ripples of surprise and speculation across the archipelago. The nation, already navigating complex political currents, found itself holding its collective breath. What did this sweeping call truly signify for the direction of the country and the leadership at its helm? This move was quickly framed by the president's office as a bold reset. They emphasized it was a strategic recalibration of his administration. Officials were keen to dispel any notion of a purge or a chaotic house cleaning. Instead, the narrative presented was one of thoughtful reassessment. The aim, they stated, was to strengthen the government's machinery. President Marcos Jr. himself indicated a desire for a more responsive and effective team. The timing, just after challenging midterm elections, suggested a leader looking to reassert control and demonstrate a commitment to change. President Marcos Jr. articulated his reasons clearly. He stated the goal was to rigorously evaluate the performance of his top officials. He wanted to ensure his cabinet was perfectly aligned with new, emerging priorities for the nation. The president spoke of a need to make his administration sharper, faster, and fully focused on the people's most pressing needs. This was a direct message to both his team and the Filipino public. The Philippines watched intently, wondering which officials would stay, who would go, and what this reset would ultimately mean for their future and the governance of their nation. The call for cabinet resignations did not occur in a vacuum. It followed closely on the heels of the May 12, 2025 midterm elections. These elections delivered significant setbacks for President Marcos Jr. and his allies. The results served as a clear and undeniable message from the Filipino electorate. The president's Alianza party managed to secure only 6 out of the 12 contested Senate seats. This outcome was far from the strong mandate his supporters had hoped for. It was a stark reminder of the complexities and divisions within the Philippine political arena. The election results painted a picture of a more fragmented Senate. Allies of Vice President Sara Duterte and several independent candidates performed surprisingly well. They captured crucial seats, outperforming many pre-election expectations. Specifically, candidates allied with Vice President Duterte won 5 Senate seats. Furthermore, 2 seats went to Liberal Democrats, some associated with the Aquino family, a name long intertwined with Philippine political history. This shift in the Senate's composition signaled a potentially more challenging legislative environment for President Marcos Jr.'s agenda in the coming years. Many observers and political analysts interpreted the midterm results as a direct reflection of public sentiment. The power of the ballot box had made itself felt once more. Despite the president's sweeping request, only 3 out of 33 cabinet secretaries stepped down. This counters the dramatic purge narrative. It was a strategic maneuver, not a widespread dismissal. President Marcos Jr. used a scalpel, not an axe. This allowed him to assess his team without disruption. A key aspect of President Marcos Jr.'s cabinet reset was the retention of his core economic team. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto and Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual were among those who remained in their crucial posts. This decision was widely seen as a move to ensure stability and continuity in the country's economic management. In a global environment often marked by financial volatility, keeping experienced hands at the helm of the economic cluster sends a reassuring message. It signals a commitment to ongoing economic strategies and reforms. The importance of retaining this economic leadership cannot be overstated. These ministers are central to the administration's efforts to manage inflation, attract investment, and foster economic growth. Their continued presence helps to calm market nerves and reassure international partners and investors. While stability was a theme, the reset also brought a significant new appointment. Teresa Lazaro was named as the new Foreign Affairs Secretary. She replaced Enrique Manalo, a seasoned diplomat. This change in one of the most high-profile cabinet positions naturally drew considerable attention. At the heart of President Marcos Jr. Duterte call for a cabinet reset was a declared intention to restore public trust. The administration emphasized that this recalibration would prioritize meritocracy. The message was clear: performance and competence would be the primary criteria for serving in his government. This focus on merit aimed to assure the Filipino people that their leaders were being held to a high standard. Another key goal highlighted by the president was the need for more effective project delivery. This speaks directly to the everyday concerns of many Filipinos. The administration wants to be seen as capable of fulfilling its campaign promises. One such promise often cited is the effort to reduce rice prices, a staple food and a significant household expense. By shaking up his team, President Marcos Jr. signaled a renewed urgency to translate plans and policies into tangible benefits that citizens can see and feel in their daily lives. The administration also reiterated its commitment to addressing pressing public concerns, notably inflation and crime. The reset was framed as a way to sharpen the administration's focus and effectiveness in these critical areas of public welfare. The Filipino public reacted to President Marcos Jr. as cabinet shakeup with a spectrum of opinions. There was no single, unified response to this bold political maneuver. On one hand, some citizens and commentators praised the president for what they saw as decisive action. They viewed the call for resignations as a sign that he was listening to the electorate's concerns, particularly after the midterm election results. For this segment of the population, it was a welcome indication that the president was willing to make changes to improve his administration's performance and responsiveness. However, not everyone was convinced. Others expressed skepticism about the true impact of the reset. Some questioned whether it represented a genuine commitment to reform or if it was primarily a political gesture. There were concerns that the changes might be superficial, a shuffling of familiar faces rather than a fundamental shift in policy or approach. These lingering questions highlighted the challenge the administration faces in convincing a divided public that this recalibration will indeed lead to meaningful improvements in governance and service delivery for all Filipinos. The cabinet reset unfolds against a backdrop of an increasingly visible political feud. The relationship between President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vice President Sara Duterte has been a subject of intense speculation. What began as a uniteam alliance during the 2022 elections has shown clear signs of strain. This tension adds complexity to the current political recalibration. It raises questions about the stability of the ruling coalition and the future political landscape. Vice President Sara Duterte's political influence appears to be on an upward trajectory. The recent midterm elections saw her allies achieve significant gains in the Senate. This strengthening of her faction is seen as a challenge to President Marcos Jr. at control. As the daughter of former President Rodrigo Duterte, she commands a substantial base of support. Her high approval ratings solidify her position as a formidable political force. Adding to the drama is the impending impeachment trial faced by Vice President Duterte. The outcome will have profound implications for the Marcos-Duterte Dynamic and the broader political stability of the Philippines. The recent political developments in the Philippines, including the cabinet reset, are being closely watched by global allies and international observers. The Philippines plays a significant role in Southeast Asia, and its stability and policy direction have implications beyond its borders. Foreign governments and international organizations are keen to understand the motivations behind President Marcos Jr.'s moves and what they might signal for the country's future engagement on the world stage. Every significant internal shift can have external repercussions. President Marcos Jr. has carved out a distinct foreign policy stance during his term. He has been a vocal critic of China's assertive actions in the disputed South China Sea. This position has garnered support from traditional allies like the United States, which has reaffirmed its commitment to the Philippines' security. Any perceived instability or major shift in foreign policy leadership in Manila is therefore of keen interest to these international partners. In this context, the appointment of Teresa Lazaro as the new Foreign Affairs Secretary is particularly noteworthy for the international community. Her extensive diplomatic background is seen by many as a reassuring sign. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s cabinet reset, born from the crucible of electoral feedback and a desire for sharper governance, presents an opportunity. It is a chance for a fresh start, a moment to refocus energies and priorities. While challenges undoubtedly remain and public skepticism lingers in some quarters, such moments of recalibration can be pivotal. They offer the potential to break from old routines, to inject new vigor into the administration, and to demonstrate a renewed commitment to serving the Filipino people effectively and with integrity. A central theme emerging from the president's messaging around this reset is the call for unity. President Marcos Jr. has urged all Filipinos, regardless of political affiliation, to work together for the nation's future. This appeal for national cohesion is particularly resonant in a country often characterized by vibrant and sometimes divisive political discourse. The success of any governmental reform or initiative ultimately depends on the collective will and cooperation of its citizens. The administration, through this significant shake-up, aims to underscore its renewed commitment to the people's welfare. The journey is ongoing, but the aspiration for a stronger, more prosperous and unified Philippines remains the guiding star for its leaders and its people. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.